this weekend, 39-year-old flyweight Tyson Nam has fought some of the world's best since he debuted as a pro back in 2006 when Matt Allen was 8. And coming up, he's going to be trying to turn away yet another top-tier prospect in the Bulldog, Bruno Silva, a guy who's been out of action for quite some time. And for Tyson Nam, like Roy Jones Jr. back in 2021, Tyson Nam was able to go out there, turn back the clock, and you look at some of these wins that he's had. I mean, my goodness, for Tyson Nam, last time out, giant underdog, Ode Osborne knocks him out. I mean, it's just like, stop Virgil Hill with a body shot. Y'all must have forgot. Tyson Nam,
and that was a right hook to the body, too, which no one had ever seen before. A left hook to the body, okay, it's a liver shot. Roy Jones put him down with a right hook.
But, I mean, Nam, going back through the record, even on the 5-on-in, he's got a loss to Kai Kara-France, a loss to Matt Schnall by split decision. The knockout wins, Zaruk Adeshev, Jerome Rivera, and that last one last year against Ode Osborne really put him over with a lot of people. And Nam, you look at even just the loss in the UFC, comes in on short notice and fights Sergio Pettis and loses that fight. Pettis went on to do good things, not only in the UFC, or he had already done good things in the UFC, went on to win that Bellator title, and it held a lot of water with a lot of people because he knocked out Kyoji Horiguchi, who's still a pretty darn good fighter. So in this matchup, you have Gracie Technic's own Tyson Nam. He's training with a former foe a coach in Russell Doan. So a lot of big things there for Nam. But he did an interview with JHK at the All-Star MMA. And the quotable out of it and the title out of it was, like, he likes to throw that right. And I like to throw that right hand. We can play right hand for right hand. I like that gamble. So out of Tyson Nam, he's excited for it. Bruno Silva, last 2 fights, knockout wins. He's got performance bonuses in the UFC. Knocked down JP Buys 3 times in the second round till he finished him. And he knocked out Victor Rodriguez last time out. But we haven't seen Bruno Silva in a meaningful amount of time, almost 2 years. He's a fight-ready guy. He competed on The Ultimate Fighter years and years ago. So Bruno Silva got a lot of catching up to do, even though he's on a 2-fight win streak. Tyson Nam, hot off that win over Ode Osborne, and now that win ages well off what Osborne looked like against Charles Johnson a couple of weeks ago. So this fight, I know it's outside of the rankings, but there's a lot to be excited about, a matchup of 2 guys that not only in the quotable, you know it from watching their fights, they like to throw the right hand.
They certainly do. I just wish Tyson Nam weighed 10 more pounds so we could fight Cody Garbrandt, because I think he's too perfect of an opponent for him. I really do. That's kind of besides the fact, that's just a little side note, but I really like Tyson Nam for what he is, but the problem is, you do know what you're going to get with Tyson Nam. Like, he is a very technical striker, he's extremely accurate, he throws great straight shots, he mixes the kicks in well, but on the inside, he does struggle with guys who are better power punchers, and I would say Bruno Silva can follow a game plan similar to that. Bruno Silva, what I do like about him is he realizes that his boxing can synergize with his wrestling, and he does mix the two together quite well. Now,
I don't see that working in this fight at all.
I don't, because I do think the movement of Nam is going to give him quite a bit of an advantage with that, but I still think Nam is going to struggle if Silva does get on that inside range. The thing is, for Nam, at what point is the age going to catch up to him? I know 39 years old isn't young for any division outside of the heavyweight division, but normally when we talk about guys in the featherweight, bantamweight, flyweight division, it's what, 32, 33? We worry about them slowing down. And for Nam, to his credit, he still has been able to maintain that athleticism to this stage of his career, but at 39, I think that is a fair point to bring up and just something to be concerned about.
Well, I mean, last weekend we had question marks, the Trevin Jones fight against Garbrandt. They had poor recent runs. For Bruno Silva, he started off UFC 243, the UFC debut, and he's taking on Khalid Taha. He gets dropped in the first round. He gets submitted in the third round. And then Taha has a little bit of a USADA issue for furosemide. So Bruno Silva goes out there, loses to David Dvorak. But it's a close enough fight. He loses to Tagir Ulanbekov. Some people thought that Bruno Silva won that fight.
Those are 2 really good fighters to fight coming off of a no contest.
And then he beats Buys, who I couldn't believe it. He's still in the UFC. He's lost 3 fights and a couple of them by knockout, but he's still in the UFC. They threw that graphic up there last weekend when Cameron Simon and Dricus du Plessis were fighting, and he knocks out Victor Rodriguez, who was promptly cut from the UFC. And I said not nice things about Victor Rodriguez that were out of character on my part. I apologize to Victor Rodriguez, but that win's a little tricky. So for Nam, we hold him with some reverence, but I will say this about Tyson Nam. Number 1 in UFC history with fewest or lowest bottom percentage time at 0% and 0% being caught on the bottom as well, or 0, seconds, minutes, so to speak. So he's tied there with Adrian, it's pronounced Yanez, Adrian Yanez. So both those guys never been taken down and never been held down. So for Tyson Nam coming into this one, we know how good the striking can be. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt for Bruno Silva, who was featured on Dana White's The Ultimate Fighter Brazil Season 4 at the age of 24 in 2015. He broke Gustavo Cedario's jaw, and then he got submitted by Daniel Lopez, who went on to go to the finals of that season. But when it really does come down to this one, Matt, again, Nam's 3-3 in the UFC. Bruno Silva's what? 2-2 with a no contest, call it 2-3. When you look at this, though, I'm surprised that we've had so much inactivity from Bruno Silva, considering that the nickname's the Bulldog. He trains at Fight Ready. His main coach is Eric Albarracin. He spends a lot of time with Henry Cejudo, who's going to be fighting Aljamain Sterling up a weight class at UFC 288 in May for the title. And for Silva, he's been a Pitbull Brothers guy, too, for a really long time as well. So Bruno Silva, to me, in my mind's eye, he's got a much more diverse skill set than a guy like Tyson Nam. But Nam, to his credit, good takedown defense. He's beaten really good wrestlers like Ali Baglatinov when he was with Fight Nights Global. And for Nam, what has he not seen that a guy like Bruno Silva can bring to him? That's the interesting thing for me.
No, you're 100% right. This is what I can openly admit. I feel like I'm a little too high on Tyson Nam after the Ode Osborne win.
And listen, we didn't pick Tyson Nam to beat Ode Osborne either.
So that's what I'm openly admitting right now. As the underdog, I kind of want to say, hey, Tyson Nam's going to go in there. He is the more technical guy, but Bruno Silva has a skill set that can beat guys like Tyson Nam. For as pretty as the striking is of Tyson Nam, he can get caught in a mirror sometimes. He does struggle with guys who can get on the inside and really rush him. And the thing about Nam is, he does strike well off the back foot. But do you know how we know that? It's because he is willing to give up distance a lot in his fights. And the thing about Bruno Silva is, when he's the one getting pressure, does he struggle in fights? Yes, he can. But when he's the guy moving forward and throwing those vicious hooks, he does have a lot of success. And I'll be very curious to see if Silva goes to the body in this matchup, because I think that will be open, especially for some of his boxing combinations. And if Nam is using that high guard, moving his feet very well, I think the body shots will be open. So again, there's a part of me that wants to pick the technique of Tyson Nam, but this is a really fun fight to open the card. That's what I've been saying. Like, for a fight night card, a free card on a Saturday to open with Carlston Harris versus Abubakar Nurmagomedov and Tyson Nam versus Bruno Silva, that's a pretty good free card to have.
The guy picked up 2 bonuses and then decided to ride off into the sunset, now fighting Tyson Nam. But if you look at it for Bruno Silva, the best part of his game with that right hand is he can blend in his combinations, and you watch him feint the jab to then throw the right hand, and he had a right cross knockdown against JP Bays. He hit him with an uppercut that knocked him down, and then the last one was a straight right hand that was able to get it done. And against poor Victor Rodriguez, I mean, overhand right, got it done, but it was that double pump feint, and he did it 3 times. He did double pump feint, reset, double pump feint, reset, and then he was able to land that knockout blow. So you have a look at the odds in this one. Bruno Silva is favored to get the win. Tyson Nam, the underdog. We have a look at the Tapology vote. Surprise to us, they are to you. I'm going to say the fans going with the younger fighter in a 2-fight win streak. I'm going to say over-under 67.5% Silva.
I think they'll be under. I think it'll be a really close vote.
I think it's going to be close. It's the opposite.
Wow.
619 total votes. 71% Nam. 46% by decision, 48% by knockout for the 29% that have Silva, 60% by decision. So the fans are going with Nam, who's the underdog.
And I get it, you know?
Who are you going with here?
Like I just said, like, I get it. I feel like a pick for Tyson Nam is not a foolish pick by any means, but I do find myself keep on going back to, well, Tyson Nam might have a bit of the counter for what Bruno Silva does, but I do see Silva being the advancing fighter, and I do think he will land more damaging shots. Now, if Tyson Nam wins a decision based on volume, I'm okay with that, but I do think Bruno Silva is going to slightly edge out this fight, but he needs to be a little bit more active, because again, if you make a 3-fight win streak and you cap that off with a win over Tyson Nam, you are bound to get a big matchup your next time out there, so it would be nice to see Bruno Silva get back in there in 4 or 5 months if he is able to get the win.
Well, and he gets to do the reverse Uno and go, y'all must have forgot, because I mean, just like Roy Jones punching the water in that pool, he can go out there, get that win against Tyson Nam. That's part of the music video.
It is.
But when it comes down to it, I'll go with Tyson Nam in this one. For Bruno Silva to get back after the time away, he had fought some lesser guys when he made that UFC debut at UFC 243. It started off a giant card. There were 57,000 plus people at Marvel Stadium
that must have been
for that card, and Silva gets dropped in the first round. Nam is one of those guys that cuts the cage with hooks, and against a guy like Bruno Silva advancing with those different right-hand combinations, I can see Nam picking up the success there. So I'll go with the underdog. We're split on the pick.
On the first 2.
I've got Tyson Nam, Matt going with Bruno Silva. Some big-time fights on this card. 14 total, headlined by, ooh boy, it's Ariane taking on
what a great name.
Merab Dvalishvili. Some great fights. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, as we always say. Let's get into it.